I'm on, y'all. Hey, how's it going, everybody? We doing okay? It's good to see everybody out. Thank you for beating the weather and, all that good stuff. I'm glad y'all are here today. And last week was the very first time ever in 33 years of being a dad that I've had a Father's Day. That was a Father's Day. So better late than never, I guess. But, so it was kind of cool. So it was good, but I'm glad to be back, and I thought about y'all. Yeah, sure. I thought about y'all, and but I hope y'all had a good time. Stu was okay, and all was well. And so it's good to be back. So here we go. This is one of those really, I find this an interesting passage, and for several reasons. And then we'll talk about all those reasons, or we'll let y'all, I always anticipate questions. Of course, I get some that I don't anticipate, and those are the ones that throw me off. But this one's kind of one of those funky passages that's kind of interesting for people in the 21st century. Have a conversation about, and then we'll maybe we'll hit the punchline that's totally off beat. So we'll take care of that. Here we go. Luke 8:26 through 39. Woo. Long story. And then they arrived, and that they, being the disciples, arrived at the country of the Gerasenes, which is opposite of Galilee. And he stepped out on land. A man of the city who had demons met him. For a long time he had worn no clothes. He did not live in a house, but in the tombs. And when he saw Jesus, he fell down before him and shouted at the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For Jesus had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For many times it had seized him, and he was kept under guard and bound with chains and shackles. But he would break the bonds and be driven by the demon into the wilds. Jesus then asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," for many demons had entered him. And they begged him not to order them to go back into the abyss. Now there on the hillside, a large herd of swine was feeding, and the demons begged Jesus to let them enter these. So he gave them permission. And then the demons came out of the man and entered the swine, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When the swineherd saw what had happened, they ran off and told in the city and in the country. And then the people came out to see what had happened. And when they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Those who had seen it told them how the one who had been possessed by demons had been healed. And then all the people of the surrounding country of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them, for they were seized with great fear. So he got into the boat and returned. And the man for whom the demons had gone begged that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your home and declare how much God has done for you." So he went away, proclaiming throughout the city how much Jesus had done for him. Familiar? Yes. Pretty familiar story? Good. Good. Glad. Okay. Have at it, y'all.
What was it about the guys range that they were so scared of him? I mean, it's like, he just performed a good miracle, but they're all, it's like all of us. I mean, was this a bad city, or, I don't know.
They're afraid of Jesus because he had healed the demoniac, right? Interesting discussion, huh?
Yeah, you'd think they would be excited to hear somebody who had the ability to deal with the demoniac. But they killed on the slide.
Hmm?
They think somebody.
Hmm?
They've taken away a source of income for a
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now we got a lot of things going on here now. First of all, let's deal with the first thing, then we'll deal with the economic part, because I just find that part hilarious on a lot of levels. But that's just me. This, as I say in the sermon, if this was a Netflix show, it would say dark comedy listing up at the top, because that's just, or maybe it's just me, as I like dark comedy. So, but first of all, isn't that the way it is with humanity? Not just, and y'all, you have to understand, whenever I read text and I hear y'all say they, all I hear is we, okay? Because that's really the trajectory. It's not just them. We do the same thing. Okay, now that I've said that, the notion that they had come somewhat comfortable with the demoniac.
Yeah, they knew what to expect.
Yeah, he's wild. He's nuts. He's crazy. Whatever. He runs around naked for years. There he is. But aren't we like that? I mean, again, stories from... there's this guy, when we moved back, he would kind of haunt the walk right in front of Mullis Music. He's a taller guy, beard, kind of just smoke, and he would just stalk. And during COVID, when the bistro kind of shut down, he just took up residence right there in their little intro, in their, just there, and he just, yeah, and he was just there all the time, and he just stalked, and he made people nervous, because one day he would talk to me, and the next day he wouldn't. He had this scowl. He's right in front of the guitar store, so I was always running into him. And but guess what? He just became a part of the fabric of the walk. I mean,
Is he still there?
no, I haven't seen him in a while. Haven't really seen him in a while.
I remember seeing him,
Yeah, and they took the swings down in the back and on the walkway that went up through there, so he wouldn't sit on those all the time. I mean, so here's what we do. Hey, these swings are for everybody in the community. So instead of just dealing with the issue, we just go, okay, we'll just take them down, And so, but the notion that we just we go, okay, that's just evil. Yeah, boy, the world's sure getting bad, isn't it? Getting tough. Whew. And we get used to that. And then we have somebody who comes along and goes, let's bring some healing there. Ooh, what's wrong with this dude? He's coming around healing and fixing things. That the discomfort that Jesus can bring to the moment by being the one who offers salvation and healing. So much so that when he gets to Jerusalem a little later, they kill him. That's,
One thing that surprised me here is it sounded like Jesus had already sent the demons out, and they were back.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
now he's getting rid of all of them.
Yeah. I'm not up on my demon possession. I mean on how it works. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen The Exorcist, so
Well, that was my question, not about Texas. My question was the fact, it looked like, and I read this morning and looked at it again, that Jesus took the initiative. The man was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have thought he would approach Jesus with
Uh-huh.
a miracle, but it looks like
yeah.
that wasn't the game plan.
Well, what are you gonna do to us, man? What are you gonna do? And Jesus, he shows up and heals the guy. Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes we don't want to be healed.
It's a toughie. And again, here's this guy who's just been doing. It's just who he is. He's just been there.
When I read this, another thing came, it was the fear of the Gadarenes. And elaborate on that fully, I understand, but still, it seems like there's a little more underlying fear these people had. I know it's gonna change their lifestyle, they have to deal with Jesus now and changing people's lives, but no, I just wonder if there's more that they fear and these services.
Maybe.
It's all involved.
Absolutely.
How were they opposite? In the beginning, you said they were opposite from,
Galilee.
was that?
Yeah, which is opposite.
Or just
No, that's a geographical. And I got to tell you too, it only pops in my head when I'm standing here for those kind of things. I go, you know, because again, geography. Some of my friends are like so into that, and they go, well, you know, this is because of da 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 da, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, I should, but I don't. I'm just worried. I just looking at the words and how they're different. And da, da, da. But there could be something to that because Luke sure wants us to know it's opposite of this. So he's given location, he's given where he's at, and the notion. For sure. So, huh? Well, say more. Yeah, because of the pigs. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to me because John Leith, who was a professor at Union Seminary in Virginia, kind of had this southern drawl, and they would always say, he'd say, what's a good Jewish man doing with a herd of swine in the first place? But, what? Well, you do wonder. I mean, yeah, it's like, well, you know, they're making a profit, you know, and somebody's eating pig, you know. I mean, but I guess too, you're right. There is this notion here about Jesus, and I do. These are questions that come up. Okay, the guy gets healed, but what about the pigs? Before, you know. PETA would really be upset here. I mean, you know, for sure. Oh, you animal lovers out there like, hey, man, Jesus, don't you care about these pigs? I mean, they just take off. And why does Jesus even give the time of day to the demons? The demons go, man, we just really, give us a break here. And he goes, okay. Really? That's what you do? You give the demons a break. They say, oh, okay. Well, the pigs do. I mean, do demons drown? I don't. So then where do they go from there? I don't know. I'm not up on my demonology. It really wasn't a course I took in school. Demons were from an abyss. Yeah. So they. What is an abyss? New Jersey? I mean. You ever been to Newark? Oh, I'm sorry. I will. Yeah, the abyss ain't good because they don't want to go back, and so But then I'm like, okay, so once the pigs are gone, then where do they go? I don't know. You see that again, and I do get to the punchline here in a little bit. So, but I still have time. Yeah, that I you know, unless you're Catholic or Pentecostal, demons don't really. We don't come up. I mean, it's not a part of our conversation. And I can tell you by the first question, and again, whenever you get this passage, the first thing somebody says to me is "Do you believe in demons?" And I'm like, you know, that's what we take from this. And I don't know how that part works. I really don't. I mean,
but when it says the demons in the pigs,
yeah.
pigs drown, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, you can make the assumption. I don't like to make assumptions. You can make that one that okay, they drown and go from there. I mean, that's what I got out of it when I read it.
I would say the pigs do, but not the. I mean,
Not the demons.
don't drown. Yeah, I mean, what are they? Yeah. I don't know. Again, New Jersey. I'm just telling you. If you've ever been to Newark, that is just his question. I don't. I mean, if they did, I could not take it.
Probably no shortage on demons, so if we get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, I mean, Duke of Brisson, I ain't talking about demons, No, I mean, it's a very uncomfortable subject in the 21st century because we don't, unless you're Catholic or Pentecostal, you really don't, they don't come on.
In their time, anybody that was different had to be possessed.
Right. And
That was their thinking.
great question. And because then it goes when they come back and they, verse 35, and they came back to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone sitting at Jesus' feet, clothed and in his right mind. So now, this is where we have to be careful, I think, in this day and age, because I've had some of my mental health folks say to me that this notion of connecting, what is that? Okay. I thought it was like a demon. No, that can't be right. But okay, so all right. Where was I? Mental health. Yeah, they tell. Thank you. They tell me this kind of thing about, well, be careful that when you start connecting the notion of demonic to mental health, because then that makes people today feel like, ooh, I can't. I mean, it's not an evil thing to have mental health issues. I mean, because, we can all.
Talk about people having to deal with their demons.
Right. And we do. But when we say that, we don't sit around and go, yeah, there's this, at some point their head's going to spin around and they're going to puke out green stuff like Linda Blair did in the 70s. Great movie, but, I don't know if it's a great movie, but, it made a lot of money. But that's not what we think about. And for goodness sakes, Presbyterians, we are not talking about, it's just like, we ain't talking about that. That's just not the way we think about it. And it is, I would have to say, we live in a very different scientific time than they did. We've learned a thing or two over the years. Well, at least I think we have. But, and so we don't really understand. I don't ever see the guy. When the guy downtown, I never once thought, maybe he's got a demon. And I need to go up and ask him. Got a demon. That just doesn't come into my head.
Take him over to Troutman's for
Is that what we take? I get it. Pigs. Got you. That was clever. So I don't think in those terms. I think much more in the notion of how, we all kind of struggle with different things and how that comes into play in life. Where are we with time? Because that will push me closer to where the punchline. Right. So I really don't know where they go. I just know that Jesus just cost whoever a lot of money, and he doesn't seem to be concerned about that at all.
Well, when he's taken other, or forced other demons out of people, they just kind of.
Just float off. Yeah, but see, now, again, not up on my demonology, but if they're out there floating around, doesn't that mean that there's somebody else out there? But notice that's not even a concern here. In the question in the conversation, we don't ever have that. So maybe the author's really trying to get at something different.
Maybe that's what really freaked them out and wanted them to leave.
Well, also, too, isn't it always, like in Mark, remember, Mark's always asking the question, who is this man? All throughout the gospel. Who is this guy who can control this and this and this? So, maybe, isn't there the fear of the person The demonic's scary enough, but the person who can control the demonic, ooh, yikes. Maybe we should really be scared of him.
Yeah, because he's doing something nice now, but it might be.
Yeah, this guy's really in control. And I find that interesting too, as far as the church and in modern church and in our world of bumper sticker theology and t-shirt theology, that we do we treat Jesus like our cosmic buddy. Wow, he's so cool. You know, when maybe every once in a while, we should have just a little bit of awe and humility and a little bit of, this guy's can control death. He's over death. Maybe we should have a deeper respect for who Jesus is, as opposed to just like, I'm going to throw a bumper sticker on my car. You know, says Jesus is cool or something. I mean, you know, I just like, maybe there's something here. Because the demons recognize who he is right off the bat, don't they? That's the other thing. They know exactly who he is. Hey, man, what are you doing coming to torment us? So with this really cool demon story, what do we do with that for us here in the church, modern day?
Well, one story you get out of it is that the demons were chased out, and you've got someone, a miracle was performed, and here's a witness. So he's got a story to tell. Jesus left him back because he wanted to tell the story.
Yeah,
And so this is the person who stands out in the Bible.
kind of cool. Yeah, he does. And he wants to go with Jesus. He wants to hit the road. He wants to do the sawdust trail. Let's get a tent, Jesus, and we'll go around and hold revivals all over the South. We'll get some sawdust and throw it down and have altar calls and, you know, fold out chairs. But Jesus says, nah, you go back to those folks and tell them what God's done. Interesting. Jesus didn't say, like he told the rich guy, hey, go sell everything and come follow me. He said, nah, you go back and tell everybody. Isn't it more difficult to tell the people you know about Jesus? Because they know, guess what? They know all these things. So he has to come back to people and they go, weren't you that naked, crazy guy running around out in the tombs forever? Yeah, that was me. That was me. Whoa, I knew you when. You know, remember that crazy night down at Joe's Saloon? You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? They know everything about this guy. And yet, he's the one who goes back. And also on the other side of that story, for the people of Gerasene, isn't that just funky about Jesus to be, we're going to send the crazy guy back to y'all. Share the gospel. Huh. And sometimes, isn't it easier to go tell people you don't know the story because they don't know me? They don't know me. Let me tell you, it's great to be a preacher in places that people don't know you. Because then you don't, it's kind of cool. It didn't matter how you grew up. See, when you come back to a place where you're known, where people come up out of nowhere and go, I heard you're a preacher. I can't believe that. Remember back in middle? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I mean, I do. I know. God's got a crazy sense of humor. I mean, and so, but that also calls us all too. Because here's the thing. I can tell you now. Here's the punchline on this story. To me, all these details are really, 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 really distracting. Demons, yes or no? Pigs, what the heck? You know, naked guy running around in the tombs. God, that's a crazy picture. But yet, really and truly, the notion of this guy being healed, restored, brought back into the community. That's what this story's about. because he was sent off away from the community. Nobody wanted to act like, you know how you know, like the guy downtown. You walk past him and you want to pretend like he's not there because you don't want to have to deal with it. So here's this guy who's brought back into the community of faith, healed by Jesus, whatever he had going on. And it wasn't just one, right? It wasn't just one thing. It was a legion. It was many. But guess what? Aren't most of us, I mean, all the issues we deal with come from many different sides? I mean, I wish I could blame everything in my life on my parents, you know? Because then at least that would be easy. Well, that's my parents' fault right there, you know? I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, that's so, but then somebody, as my wife says, but, you know, you haven't been with your parents since you were 16. You've been away from them a long time. Can't you, like, get it together? I mean, you know, that's right. I mean, we have, so all of us have legion all the time. We have stuff hitting us from all different sides. So maybe, just maybe, this story isn't about just this crazy guy in Garrison, but more about all of us. And the story that we get so caught up in all these details is really about Jesus. And the Jesus who shows up and says, takes charge. He didn't wait for the, you know, I'd like to be healed. He didn't. He went straight to him because you're right. Sometimes we maybe don't want to be healed because we don't know what it feels like. I mean, you get used to what you are. The lyric from this song from my childhood comes up. Well, not my childhood, my teenage years. Leave me alone, says the lonely man. I don't want to let go of this feeling. That if I lose being lonely, it sucks being lonely, but boy, I don't know what's after that. And that could be worse. So I'll just stay where I'm at. I don't like it, but at least I know. At least I know what to expect. Yeah. Yeah. And so we go, whew. Jesus comes and heals this guy, and it does make him uncomfortable. Everybody.
They don't want to be.
Yeah.
They don't, like you said, they don't want to give up their corpse and their popcorn.
Yeah, we're all kind of, I mean, and guess what? We don't like change, right? But Jesus offers this man and the community a grand sense of healing. That they all get to come back together. And maybe that's what this story is for us too. That for all the issues we face, and we all feel alone in them, too scared sometimes probably to interact with other people because we feel like they won't understand. So I got my stuff. They all got their legions too. You know? We all have them. And Jesus comes to confront all of that. Sends them out, I don't know where. I have no idea. But that Jesus is ever there to try and deal with us and offer us healing and wholeness no matter what confronts us. And we get lost in those details and miss that part. And the other part, that once we are healed, reconciled, brought back to Jesus, brought back to the community, we don't have to go off to start a tent ministry with sawdust and all that stuff. That we take it back to the hardest place we have to take it back to. That's to the people who know us. And face those people around us. I had legion, a lot of problems. And Jesus is the answer to those, as uncomfortable as that might be. Wow. What a cool story. But we just have to cut through all the details. It is so hard for us in the 21st century to cut through those details. Yet, too, this is about Jesus. Jesus healing them. Just a thought. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for your texts that really, really offer us some amazing stories. But at the very heart of them is Jesus. Jesus who continues to offer healing against a multitude of things. We might think we have too many problems, but that's not what this story says. This story says that Jesus just keeps coming and cast out all those things to offer us healing and wholeness. And all he asks us to do is go and share that with other folks around us. May we be faithful. It's in your name we pray. All right.